everyone. My name is Adam Klingsheim, and today I have the pleasure of introducing you to Mary Anne Maes. Mary Anne is the Vice President of Marketing with Dreblow and Associates. She has earned a national reputation for being able to generate compelling messaging in our advertising for vendors and partners. I already have Mary Anne on the line. Let's dive right into the questions. Mary Anne, how would you describe Dreblow and Associates?
We're a team of sales brokers that all have hospital department head experience. Our job is putting vendors, which we represent, and hospital decision makers together. We have a database of over 260,000 prospects that we reach out to through various approaches, and we set up introductions. We use email campaigns and direct mail marketing campaigns through postcards and personalized letters. We also set up Zoom meetings with potential clients and our vendors, and we also provide support for vendor webinars.
Okay, great, Mary Anne. And our second question is, how would you describe your role at Dreblow and Associates?
Well, I head up the marketing department. I create and design all the Dreblow and Associates solicitations and advertising. Basically, what I do is I look at the vendor's website and design a campaign that mirrors the vendor's branding so that the prospect, when they receive one of our marketing pieces and is referred back to the vendor's website, the message and the look is consistent.
Okay, great, Mary Anne. And our third question is going to be, what special skills do you bring to Dreblow and Associates advertising position?
Well, in my former life, I worked for the Department of Defense. I was an audit manager. And that allowed me to develop my business writing skills and a critical eye when it comes to advertising copy.
All right. And Mary Anne, as the leading designer at Dreblow and Associates, what challenges have you seen regarding the pandemic?
Well, what Dreblow and Associates used to do before the pandemic is we used to focus on getting the vendor and the prospects in one room. Obviously, now we can't do that. What we used to do, we'd set up lunches, we'd set up dinners, we'd actually go there and we'd be there with the vendor and the prospect, make the introduction, and then the vendor explains what they have to offer. Obviously, that can't happen anymore. So what we're doing now is the way we set up our meetings is we set up Zoom meetings where we'll bring everybody together and we can all, we introduce you, and then the vendor and the prospect are able to get together and have their questions answered. We used to also, a big part of what we used to do is we used to do networking events. And those are always focused around either HFMA, ANI, Becker's, all the big conventions, the national conventions. And what we would do is we would set up these dinner parties. And what happens is we bring the prospects and the vendors together in a relaxed environment. We all have a nice evening. Everybody gets to know each other. Everybody gets to talk. And then when the vendor contacts the prospect in the next week or whatever, they know who they're talking to. It's not a cold call. We've had very successful events in Chicago around Becker's. We set up an event at Andy's Jazz Club where we had everybody come to the jazz club. We had a wonderful meal. Then we all listened to jazz all evening. It was very successful. Another time we went to at Florida under it was either HFMI or ANI event. We rented out the entire balcony of BB King's jazz club, and we had our own bar. We had our own waitresses, tables, menu, everything. And so we had that whole area to ourselves. So it was like a private party, but then we were able to look down and watch the whole show from up above. So it was a very good setting. The other thing that we've done is on the Chicago River, we've done a dinner cruise where everybody gets on the cruise. We have a lovely dinner. We take a tour of the city. We're in a closed environment, and vendors or prospects are able to get together and get to know one another. Obviously, we can't do that anymore because we can't get together. So what we're doing now is we're setting up Zoom meetings. We're setting up phone conference invitations, and we're also doing webinar support. And what that is we have one client where we do monthly webinars, and what we do is we send out all the invitations. I design all the invitations. We send them all out. We keep a head count of who's coming, what hospital they're with, and provide that to the vendor. All the vendor has to do basically is do the presentation. We have a support team that sets up the webinar. They're in the background, they're making sure everything goes properly. And then when it's over, we'll compile a list of actual prospects that came to the webinar, and then we'll send those to the vendor, and the vendor can look through the list and decide who they want us to contact to try to set up meetings. So it's been very, very successful, and it's how we're handling the pandemic at this point.
All right, and a final question today, Mary Anne, is why should a new vendor select Dreblow and Associates to energize their business campaign?
Main reason is Dan Dreblow, our principal. He's been in the healthcare financial management field for over 40 years. He was a business office director at Scripps Memorial in La Jolla. He's basically worked both sides of the desk. He was a business office director for 20 years, and then he switched over to the vendor side, and he's been doing that for the past 20 years. He's also recruited highly successful former department heads to join our team, and they bring with them their business network as well as their hospital operational expertise. In addition, we have full support for advertising, video production, and webinar development. We can provide a new set of eyes to develop a compelling message that can be shared with all these new prospects.
All right, Mary Anne, that was great. We want to thank you for joining us today and sharing your insight into healthcare financial management advertising and how Dreblow and Associates is navigating the pandemic. We would encourage our guests to contact lead sales broker Dan Dreblow with any questions or comments. All of Dreblow and Associates sales brokers are former hospital department heads and can be contacted using the information listed on your screen now. My name is Adam Klingsheim. Thank you for joining us. Be safe, and we'll see you next time.